Hi folks, welcome to RJA Impact. Today we're going to be talking about FTX and the potential for Nishad Singh to be another nail in Sam Bankman-Fried's coffin. Nishad Singh and FTX, could his cooperation be the ticking time bomb underneath the multi-billion-dollar fraud? In the ongoing race to be one of the first to the table with their cooperation into illegal goings-on at the FTX crypto exchange following its collapse last November, Nishad Singh, former chief of engineering at FTX, met with federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and could potentially be the key to outing a number of political affiliates who broke campaign finance laws. As the third member of FTX's inner circle to enter into a plea deal, Singh is hoping for immunity from prosecution. The so-called proffer session, which he is thought to have initiated, won't necessarily give him that. Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang, respectively, CEO of Alameda Research and co-founder of FTX, have already done their deals, pleading guilty to fraud, and are providing authorities with cooperation. One of the key insights that Singh possibly has is into that of the political donation and campaign finance activities supporting US political parties. He himself has given more than $9.2 million to Democratic candidates and committees in the last 2 years.
Hi everyone. So when I finished my first 100-mile ultramarathon, it was a dream come true.
He was also the recipient of hundreds of millions of dollars in loans from Alameda Research, and the SEC and CFTC are both investigating him. Let's take a look at what the political campaign activities amount to and what issues may be lurking in the background. In case you're not aware, Sam Bankman-Fried's last indictment, in addition to the fraud and conspiracy counts, was one of campaign finance law violation. What we know is that Sam Bankman-Fried had been a major contributor to mainly Democratic candidates. Interestingly, Ryan Salame, he was the co-CEO for FTX Digital Markets, donated significant amounts to the Republican Party. In case you weren't aware, Ryan was the one who tipped the Bahamian authorities off about Sam Bankman-Fried using FTX client funds to support Alameda Research a couple of days before FTX's bankruptcy and prompted their investigation. The allegations in the indictment go far beyond the basic fact that Sam Bankman-Fried used stolen customer funds to make the contributions, and they weren't just everyday contributions. Sam Bankman-Fried is known to have donated around $40 million to Democrats, whilst he stated he's donated a similar amount to the Republicans. These enormous amounts seem to have been playing both sides. And these numbers that he's provided tie in with prosecutors' allegations that his real donations are tens of millions of dollars higher than his published donations. The allegation is that the donations or illegal contributions disguised to look like they may be coming from Sam Bankman-Fried's wealthy co-conspirators. This is what's calling using straw donors to conceal campaign contributions and evade federal contribution limits, and that's illegal. So if these bombshell allegations are proven, what could be the implications? Well, let me just explain one thing about what's illegal first. So if I gave money, say, to a straw donor and they in turn gave it to a political party, not only am I liable for prosecution, but the straw donors themselves could be criminally liable. And it is this that could send a shiver down the spines of as yet unnamed co-conspirators. Let me tie this in with an observation. Sam Bankman-Fried's bail was set at $250 million. It's clear that his parents' house, used to match some of this, is not enough to cover anything like this sum, and we know that at least 2 currently anonymous benefactors have provided surety on the bulk of the $250 million. Could these benefactors be protecting and or assisting Sam Bankman-Fried in order to protect their own interests? An interesting question to ponder. Just going back to the tens of millions of dollars that the prosecutors allege were donated evading campaign finance limits, then this would be the largest, if not one of the largest, straw donor fraud cases of all time. According to SBF's indictment, the timeline for illegal contributions begins in 2020 when SBF backed Joe Biden's presidential campaign. Did Joe Biden therefore benefit from straw donor contributions to gain his presidency? Yet another connection, this time with SBF's mother Barbara Fried. The indictment alleges that Sam Bankman-Fried's illegal campaign contributions went not only to individual candidates but also to independent expenditure committees like political action committees PACs. Guess who co-founded the PAC called Mind the Gap that supported and gave contributions to Democratic candidates? You guessed it, Barbara Fried. Could cash have been washed through this channel by Sam Bankman-Fried? And what did Barbara Fried know about it? Both open questions at the moment. We're not going to know the answers to some of these questions until Prosecutor Williams decides to release the names of the mysterious, in quotes, wealthy co-conspirators mentioned in the indictment. These names must be disclosed to SBF's Criminal Defence Counsel in due course under federal criminal procedure, so one would expect that the prosecution would let the public in on this information as well. But there has already been an unusual level of secrecy around this prosecution. This non-disclosure seems to be another symptom of that. And so we circle back to Nishad Singh. Prosecutors want to know whether his donations actually came from himself or if he was part of the straw donation scheme by Sam Bankman-Fried. In respect of prison time, there's a discretionary guideline of 10 to 16 months for violating the campaign finance regulations. But just to be clear, at this point, Nishad Singh hasn't been charged with anything. Apparently, Mark Elias, the power broker Democratic lawyer, has received requests from the DOJ in respect of this on behalf of many of his clients, so this line of investigation is clearly being actively pursued. What about Singh's background? Well, SBF has said of him that he was one of my brother's best friends in high school. He was an engineer at Alameda Research and became one of SBF's roommates in the now infamous party house in the Bahamas. He's shown the fastest and most sustained professional growth I've ever witnessed, said Sam. Singh is a proponent of effective altruism, and his donations that we're aware of include $4 million for a ballot committee to protect abortion rights in Michigan, $1 million to the LGBT Victory Fund, $2 million to the state Democratic's Principal Super PAC, and $1 million to Mind the Gap, the super PAC run by Barbara Fried. That last donation or donations is clearly one to watch because that could be Nishad himself acting as a straw donor on behalf of Sam Bankman-Fried to fund the super PAC. And so, the question remains, will Nishad Singh be the one to finally blow the lid off the political angle in this massive fraud scheme, or will he too fall victim to the greed and corruption that brought down the FTX exchange? Only time will tell. One thing is for sure, as the investigation continues, more and more revelations will come to light and the race for cooperation will become even more intense. So does this scandal have the potential to change the political landscape as we know it? Will it bring to light corrupt practices that are prevalent within the political system? It's certainly going to be a test for the legal system to see if justice is truly served and if all the guilty are held accountable for their actions. The future is uncertain, but one thing is for sure, the story of the FTX exchange collapse is far from over. Well, I hope you found this brief update informative, and if so, consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and I'll bow down if you do. Bye for now.